Good afternoon, my dear students. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on one of the most distinguished poet of Indian English who hails from Shillong, Robin S Ngangom, and his most striking poem, The Strange Affair of Robin S Ngangom. In northeast part of India, there are several emerging poets who are representing the current issues of their states. Robin S Ngangom, Ngangom is the pronunciation which is generally pronounced pronounced in Meitei language, which is very much common and people speaks in Manipur, the Meitei. Robin S Ngangom, who hails from Manipur, is one among them who writes about the situation of his homeland. He is a witness to the conflicts, and thus he represents the issues what he has seen in front of his eyes. At present, he is currently serving in the Department of English of Northeastern Hill University, Nehu, Shillong. He has number of works to his credit which mostly represents the affairs and events of his time, especially his childhood memory. Another poem we have already discussed, a poem for mother, that he recounts his past days, his bygone days with his mother, and he universalizes mother. He has number of workshops, and he attended number of workshops, and he has number of works to his credit, which mostly represents the affairs and events of his time. He writes poetry hoping for a change, for peace, and for betterment, for a peaceful tomorrow, for a better time in near future. Manipur, perhaps you know, is a multi-ethnic state where different ethnic groups live harmoniously. Earlier, there is no such conflicts or differences, but they have their own respective demands and are at loggerheads among themselves, which becomes violent at a time. Manipur became a part of Indian Union on 21st January in 1972. Their demand for autonomy from India still ensues, which has led to formations of several rebel groups and insurgents. Due to the several issues such as Armed Force Special Power Act, which is imposed in the states of northeastern states, especially in Manipur, to control the insurgency, to control the ethnic tension. Manipur has seen various forms of conflicts in the present time. The last few decades, they have seen thousands of people being killed and displaced in various ethnic conflicts. Thus, the poets emerging from the region writes about their individual experiences, their day-to-day happenings. In the editor's note to the Dancing Art Anthology of Contemporary Poetry from the Northeast, Robin S Ngangom and his co-editor partner Kimphang Simnang Kinri. He is also one of the distinguished poet of Northeast who specially writes in English, and he is also a Khasi storyteller, story writer, a distinguished professor in the Department of English of Northeastern Hill University, Shillong. Both of them have argued that the expressive concerns of the writer from Northeast cannot be the same as that of a writer from elsewhere in India. The writer from the Northeast differs from his counterpart in the mainland in a significant way. While it may not make him a better writer, leaving the menace of the gun, he cannot merely indulge in a verbal wizardry and woes and sufferings. Robin shares his experiences and the events that he has personally witnessed. Portraying the scenario of the flesh, he shares how the war has made the region's space. The riches are ruling, motivated by their selfish interest. They are taking advantage at every time. The idea of freedom appears to be elusive. As the poet says, freedom in his region can be felt only when guarded by security forces. He quotes, "I hear a wicked war is now waged on our soil, and gory bodies dragged unceremoniously through our rice fields. That they have dropped the word shame, quote unquote, shame, from the vocabulary, and the newly rich are ruling our homes. I hear that freedom comes dear only if escorted by armed men." This is one of the quotes from Homeland I Left, line number 27 to 36. The poet also is a helpless observer of the events that taking place in his countryside. He wants to do something with it, and the result is what he has expressed through his pen, through his poetry. He wishes to bring transformations in the society through his verses. His poem doles out the glimpse of the social and political situation of Manipur. In another poem, which is our subject of discussion, that is the strange affair of Robin S Ngangom, he represents the scenario of the region during blockades. Frequently, road blockades are imposed by different tribes or different groups with different interests and different demands, different agendas. In order to seek the fulfillments of their demands, the burns, which often last for days, weeks, and even sometimes for months, which affects the total economy of the state to a larger extent, making daily life hard for the common people. Nothing is certain. Oil, lentils, potatoes, food for babies transport the outside world. So, while discussing strange affairs of Robin S Ngangom, he has represented through his poem the terrorized situation, the terrorized problem of his own state, of his own motherland. The Strange Affair is a poem by S. Ngangom where he has discussed primarily about the political issues going on in the northeast regions of India. And the objectives of all these discussions was to raise awareness and consciousness of people about the turmoils going on in the lives of the people of Manipur. All the circumstances that people living in northeast India have had to face were full of depression and frustration. There are bits of examples where he has also hinted about the troubles that he and his mother had to face. So, from a particular point of discussion, we can treat these poems, especially A Strange Affair, is a autobiographical nature. There are several autobiographical elements which he has experienced in his own life while he was growing up with his mother, while he is growing up with his neighbors. He experienced certain incidences which arises out of insurgency, and this is the right example. This is the right representation of the poem about the insurgencies which is taking place in northeastern states, especially in Manipur, which is reflected in the poem The Strange Affair of Robin S Ngangom. Thank you very much.